Now this one I put about 10 inches of leaves on this garden, and in a normal winter that's not so bitter cold, most of that will break down. I probably put a couple more inches of leaves down on this end especially, and right up there in one place, than I would normally put on, so they didn't compost down as much. And the problem with wood chips or leaves that you put on your soil to protect it in the winter and to break down is it doesn't allow the soil to warm up so you can plow it, because if it's not if it's too wet, you ruin your soil. You'll kill all the microbes if you destroy and run a plow and disturb soil when it's too wet. And so in order for me to dry this out, and it hadn't rained for 8 days, and if it hadn't poured down with a thunderstorm gully washer last night, the sun today would have cleaned this up enough and aired it out enough that I could have plowed it. Now I gotta wait for a few more days of no rain. So that's the leaves I took off of it. All the lower leaves are already starting to break down, and I pile most of it on this end because I got a little gate there. And once I plant my beds, I'm just going to put that in wheelbarrows and dump it between the rows and let it keep working. And I didn't go all the way. Now we're trying to get up these weeds in the onions, and unfortunately it's a lot easier to get up weeds when the ground is dry. And so anyway, we started on it yesterday, took the netting off, took the fence down over here. Hopefully the dogs won't run through it today, and we'll put the fence up temporarily to keep the dogs from running through it. And when the soil got wet from all that rain last night, it's just impossible to get in there and pull them up. Pull the weeds up. When it's dry, you can get it up. Plus my special homemade tool, I left it at home, which makes easy work of this. It's almost worth driving 40-some miles each way to get it, but I reckon I'll have to do it this week. And for some strange reason, we have a lot of grass in here. I don't know why, but that is a ton of grass, like somebody threw out grass seed. And we know that didn't happen. But anyway, we got not quite 20% of them cleaned out. My wife did most of that. Well, we squared this up, cleaned it out a little bit, made it open so I can get through here with the lawnmower without hitting anything. Put up a little more fence here, and knocked the pile over and leveled it out a little bit. Took my fence there and wrapped it around the corner, and we put 4 wheelbarrow loads in the front bed out there where the calla lilies are. And almost every forkful had a worm in it, which is different for this county. But there's no worms in the soil here. The worms that are here I brought with me from my compost piles at home in egg casings. And the best way to fool with compost is to use a pitchfork. You can pick up a whole lot more, and when you take it out the wheelbarrow, you can throw it. And if you mix it up just a little bit and then scoop it up and throw it, you can put it around the plants. And this bed here, we took and got all the weeds out of it and raked all the pine needles out of it. And this is where we put 4 loads of compost out of our compost pile in preparation to plant this with a lot of flowers. Now I put this over my cannas and calla lilies, because right now with the calla lilies, you can't really disturb them, and they're up high enough to where the shoots are sticking through the compost. And right here you can see there's a canna coming up through where we spread it around with a pitchfork. We've just cleaned it up. And see, as it rains, all that compost material will leach what minerals and trace minerals and what minerals are left in them into this soil. And by throwing some worms in there, maybe the worms will get in there and help work on that soil a little bit, because this is a poor garden soil bed. I filled it up with compost 3 times in the last 12 years. Looks like it's going to be a pretty decent crop for blueberries. The bees are working at, there's still some bees in here working, but earlier there was a lot of bees working on it. And this other one is a little later one than this one, and it's already starting to set blueberries. So maybe we'll get a few this year. And the muscadine that I thought we'd lost grew this much last year. And since it's last year's wood, it's growing grapes on last year's wood on the new growth for this year. So we should have some muscadines. It's recovered quite nicely considering the entire trunk died. I took the trunk out. I don't know if I showed the other video I did on this a little bit back, but there was an extra branch down low and I just snipped it off. And as this gets going, I've tied one up to go up to the top, and I've got that there. And I'm just going to let it grow because this is establishing new roots. Because right there was where the old trunk was, and this is just coming off one of the roots. And my fig tree doesn't have anything growing.